looking at this tweet from yesterday, I saw this from Basketball Reference, and I thought that you might find it interesting at least. But Basketball Reference, the current odds to win the finals, you have the Suns up there at 27.5%, Warriors up there at 17.7%. A little further down the list at 6, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers sitting at 7%. And down there at 8th, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, the reigning NBA champions, at 2.8%. Now, D-Man, I know that this is a young team, and I know how you kind of roll when it came to the Browns this past year. Is it a little too early to kind of get on that bandwagon when it comes to the NBA Finals train for this Cavaliers team?
Zach, Mac, are you sure you read that right? Milwaukee Bucks being at that level on percentage-wise under the Cavs. Listen, nobody's been as bullish on the Cavs as I have outside of the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and Cleveland Clinic Courts. But, I mean, and I like the enthusiasm. I like the optimism that other people are having now toward the Cavs. But that's a little much. That's a little rich. I mean, when I look at the Eastern Conference, I think about the 76ers being better than Cleveland. I think about the Heat being better than Cleveland. I think about, and the 76ers, of course, if they can integrate Simmons and if he is able to play at a decent level, that's a big caveat. And I think about, I'm sorry, did I say the Sixers? I meant James Harden and Simmons with the Nets. So does that big blockbuster trade between the Nets and the Sixers actually help each team? But at the very least, the Bucks deserve to be listed ahead of the Cavs because, come on, they're the defending NBA champs. They have Giannis, and they have some other good pieces, Middleton, Holiday. So that's a surprise, but why not? I mean, one thing I don't want is for the Cavs to have some artificial ceiling set for them that's maybe lower than what they could possibly attain. I'd like them to go into the postseason saying, hey, we can beat anybody at any time.
Yeah, and D-Man, we look at the one optimistic side, as some people like to say. Let's take a look at the other side. ESPN has their playoff projections, and Cavaliers Eastern Conference title odds at plus 2,500. Title odds at plus 5,000, 538, taking a little bit of a smaller percentage than what Basketball Reference had at less than 0.1%. So, D-Man, on the other side of it, I feel like there have been some sites and some analysts that have maybe put the Cavs a little too low when it comes to, the playoffs. I understand that they're a young team, but at the same time, I also feel like they can make some noise, not quite NBA title. I think that's a little too early for that, but at the same time, to go ahead and have them that far, I think that's a little bit of a stretch too in the other direction.
It could be, but here's the thing. The Cavaliers have achieved so much this season. I mean, already, and they're not even in the playoffs yet, and they've achieved an unbelievable amount. I mean, the last 3 seasons, the first 3 post-LeBron 2.0, disasters, tons of losses, questions about what the direction of the rebuild was. And then in season 4, just this meteoric rise from the abyss. And now this team, the 2021-2022 Cavs, has put to bed the R word. The rebuild is no longer. And that is a huge accomplishment by a team to end a rebuild and begin a contention status. So almost anything the Cavaliers accomplish from here on out is gravy. The only thing that would disappoint me greatly, obviously, and other Cavs fans, would be a collapse that led to a failure to get into the playoffs, but that's not going to happen. So they're going to get in. You'd like to see them get into a top 6 seed to avoid the play-in tournament. But to me, if this team gets to the playoffs, I'm rejoicing, and anything they do after that is a bonus for